So, Austin Dillon was able to win Sunday's Cup Series race at Daytona. With his win, he was able to knock Martin Truex Jr. out of the playoffs, in spite of Martin Truex being fourth in regular season standings, and Ryan Blaney was able to survive as the only winless driver out of the 16 playoff drivers. Truex finished 8th, while Blaney limped around the track all day, finishing 15th. It must have been a stressful day if you were a Ryan Blaney fan. Now, the race, it was initially supposed to be on Saturday night, but it rained and NASCAR decided to put it on Sunday morning. That was when they thought they could get it in. Now, personally, I didn't see the whole race. At our house, I recorded the race the night before. So what happened was, I recorded the events that were going to be on during the race, but that was before the digital programming schedule adjusted itself for the race. So instead of recording the race, I ended up recording the events that were scheduled to be on, which the race would replace. So I didn't get to see the race, but from a recording, but I was able to rewatch it, to go back in time and restart the race and rewatch most of it. I watched the first 2 stages and also saw the big crash involving Truex, in which Tyler Reddick and Michael McDowell got together. But after that, I decided to pause for a while, and I couldn't. It just said you must watch live TV. However, I was able to. I didn't see the big crash when there was the rain on the track, but I did end up seeing the later stages in the race after the race restarted, when there weren't that many cars on the track. Now, after the big crash, there weren't that many cars left on the track. Of the few cars remaining on the track, a lot of them were underfunded teams, like the Rick Ware cars, like the 78 of B.J. McLeod, like the 77 Spire Motorsports car of Landon Castle, and the 62 Beard Motorsports car of Noah Gragson. Once the race restarted, the field got strung out easily. Yeah, and you had a 4-car lead draft consisting of Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Landon Castle, and not Landon Castle, Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Noah Gragson, and Tyler Reddick. And Austin Dillon was able to move Austin Cindric out of the way with 3 laps to go. And after he did that, him and Tyler Reddick were able to hook up, and the rest was history. Now, the remaining 5 or so competitive cars on the field were able to gain on the top 4 after Dillon bumped Cindric out of the way, and they were able to form a draft of 9 or so cars. Cindric was able to work with the Rick Ware cars, which are Fords, on the last lap to come back and finish 3rd, but it was too little too late for him. You saw a lot of cars with some cars you usually don't see in the top 5 finish in the top 5. The 77 of Landon Castle finished 4th, and the 62 of Noah Gragson finished 5th. As for the battle between Truex and Ryan Blaney, well, Ryan Blaney was caught up in a crash during stage 1 in which Eric Jones got loose, and he was limping around points racing for the rest of the day, laps down. Joey Logano won stage 1. Kyle Busch won stage 2. Truex did a good job gaining stage points in the first 2 stages. In stage 2, one that ended up happening was the 4 competitive Toyotas, the 11, the 18, the 19, and the 23. They all pitted together, and they were able to gain track position getting off pit road. So that helped Truex gain stage points. Now, he entered the race 25 points behind Ryan Blaney, and with 15 stage points, that made him only 10 points behind. So he needed to finish 11 positions in front of Ryan Blaney. 11 because if they tied, Ryan Blaney would win the tiebreaker. And however, after being involved in the crash on lap 102, in which Michael McDowell and Tyler Reddick got involved, he tore up his right front fender and didn't have a competitive car from then on. He couldn't stay in the lead draft at the end there. I think he ended up finishing 8th. So he had to finish 4th or better to make it into the playoffs. And what I think Truex should have done is he should have, after stage 2, he should have ran at the back and tried to avoid the big crashes, because had he avoided the rain, the big crash that happened when it was raining on the track, then he would have been sitting in a pretty good position to make the playoffs once the race restarted. Now, some people were not happy about the fact that some fans and some drivers were not happy that NASCAR did not throw the caution, and it was clearly raining around the racetrack, but they decided to leave them out there anyways. And Jarrett's video, the Icebergs video, he's done a video on covering the race, and he said this is what NASCAR wants. They want to try and make it exciting, more exciting, so that's why they left them out as long as they could. That said, I didn't necessarily like the decision they made personally, and there you have it.